We live in a world where our life's balance, satisfaction, and happiness greatly depend on our social relationships. Most of us face issues such as crisis in family relationships. Even with the closest family members, we can't communicate or share with each other. Some family members avoid each other in daily life, each sinking into their own world and becoming isolated from the rest of the family. Crisis in work relationships. Colleagues don't support us, they talk behind our backs, and even superiors doubt their employees, while employees don't trust their boss's abilities and responsibilities. Crisis in friendships. We have fewer and fewer close friends, fewer people who truly understand us. We feel that our friends only care about themselves and are even willing to sacrifice us for their own benefit. But there are also happy families. Successful individuals who turn their work environment into a comfortable place for themselves, and people who always have good friends who are willing to sacrifice their own interests for us, simply because they cherish us. So, what is the way to turn our relationships into better ones? Often, the decline in relationships isn't because we are inherently good or bad, but because we lack a mindset, a philosophy to guide us in communicating effectively. Some people have good communication skills, they speak well, present convincingly, and can control the emotions of the conversation partner, yet they still lose in some relationships. Take a close look at a person's relationships. Anyone will have relationships where they treat others very well, and ones where they treat others poorly. So, who are the people they treat well? And who are the ones they treat poorly? I emphasize that the main reason lies in the emotions during communication.
Welcome to the next episode of the podcast of Vietnamese Thinking. What you will learn from this podcast is quite different from what you might have picked up from Western cultures, but it's definitely worth listening to. Many of you might already use simple philosophies like these to balance your relationships in life, and have seen some positive effects. Today, we'll dive a bit deeper and analyze them more. What I hope for you is to think about these ideas and try to apply them, even just a little. Trust me, no matter how great a psychological theory is, it needs people to practice it. Those who practice and apply it often will gain more benefits than even the ones who discovered it. If you listen to this as a story, it will be just a story. But if you take it in, think about it, and apply it, it will become a wonderful gift for your life. It will help you get wonderful and interesting things from your relationships instead of unnecessary stress and discomfort. It will help you build connections with people who are ready to help you, support you, and sincerely care for you. These theories are not new. Historically, they have helped those who started with nothing, coming from poor and humble backgrounds, to overcome many challenges and become powerful and influential individuals who left their mark on history. In many dynasties, although very simple, these theories were taught and applied within the ranks of princes, crown princes, and court nobles, whose futures held the destinies of many people. This simple communication philosophy, the canine communication philosophy. We often hear the saying, a dog is man's best friend. But why dogs and not other animals? Where you live and where I live, we all hear stories about the affection owners have for their dogs. Some even spend more time with their dogs than with their family members. I have seen my friends become despondent with worry when their dogs are ill, sparing no effort or expense to find the best doctors to treat them. In some cases, they even grieve deeply when their dogs pass away. It's remarkable how these small dogs can do such miraculous things. Dogs have created a close, loving relationship with humans for thousands of years. It's fair to say that human affection for dogs is greater than for any other species on the planet at any point in history. Whether during times of war, peace, prosperity, or hardship, humans have always regarded dogs as their closest companions. This is truly a great success for dogs in terms of their communication skills and ability to create friendliness with humans. Dogs are indeed masters of empathetic communication. Let's explore the intelligent dogs, the masters of communication. First, we all see that dogs can't speak human language. Dogs completely communicate with humans through body language and emotional language. Dogs are always geniuses at expressing nonverbal emotions. When you come home, they are the first to recognize your footsteps and greet you. Sometimes you may feel a bit annoyed by the overly enthusiastic and somewhat exaggerated welcome of the dogs, but you will feel warm when they are genuinely happy to see you, and that feeling lasts for many minutes afterward. Every time, even the coldest of us are melted by the dog's passionate feelings. You can be sure that these emotions are real, and that a dog will never pretend to be happy when meeting its owner. Interestingly, there are many owners who are very cruel to their dogs. They may torture, beat, or not feed their dogs, but the dogs almost never hate their owners. They may fear them, but they do not hate them. Many touching stories show that cruel owners, after feeling the affection of their little dogs for them, changed and become more loving towards their dogs. I must note for you the perception of dogs. Who is their owner? Generally, people think the one who feeds them is their owner. But this is not the case. A dog identifies its owner as the person who first brought it home and gave it its first meal. A loyal dog always clearly identifies its owner. And even if you feed the dog every day but were not the first to bring it home and give its first meal, you will only be its friend. This principle may not be absolute, but it is mostly true for intelligent dogs, especially hunting dogs or guard dogs. So why do dogs always achieve good relationships with humans? No pressure from the ego in communication. First, dogs do not have an ego when communicating with people. In Western culture, the ego is very important. When communicating, we always have to show who we are, what our title is, and our social status. Moreover, we always place pressure on others. You must respect me, you must listen to me, you must follow my intentions. This means that the ego is repeatedly emphasized in your thoughts during communication. What happens if we find that the person we are talking to is not listening or respecting us? You will react with an attitude of, if you don't respect me, I won't respect you, becoming arrogant and trying to assert your ego. And if the other person opposes you or shows that they dislike you, needless to say, conversation will become disastrous. But what about dogs? If you are their owner, even if you are upset with them, they remain enthusiastic towards you. Do you hate them? Still, you are unlikely to see a reaction like tit for tat, as in human communication. However, dogs only do this with those they consider their owners or friends. If you are a passerby or not a target they need to create goodwill with, be cautious as their reaction may be hard to control. For knowledgeable Easterners, the ego is not important. In other words, in life, they forget the ego, concept mentioned in Buddhism or Taoism of the East, also known as no self, meaning no ego. In the state of no self, you will listen to the other person better, observe the emotional changes of the person in front of you better, and empathize better with them. Such people will not react angrily when the other person insults them, looks down on them, or acts inappropriately. All they do is calmly observe, feel, not overreact, regulate the other person's emotions, and gently achieve the best possible outcome of the conversation. Typically, after a conversation where we are insulted by someone's words, we may have negative feelings such as discomfort, annoyance, or a desire for revenge for many hours or days afterward. But for those with no self, they are like a large, calm lake. No matter how big the stones you throw into it, it will only ripple for a few minutes and then return to its usual calm state. Of course, this is also the instinct of many dogs. Friendly dogs usually do not hold grudges for long. They quickly forget and easily forgive the negative things their owners do to them. However, it should be noted that this only happens with their owners. Dogs remember their enemies for a long time. They do not easily forget the bad actions you do to them if you are not their owner. Understanding each other in communication. One of the biggest barriers in relationships is not understanding each other. I don't understand your problems and feelings, and you don't understand mine. If that's the case, how can we build a long-term friendly relationship? Intelligent dogs always observe their owners and remember even the smallest habits and actions of their owners. You can see this in hunting dogs. In Vietnam, there are two very famous hunting dog breeds, the Lai dog and the Phu Quoc dog. Characteristic of these dogs is that their owners almost don't need to train them much. By living with their owners, they will naturally adapt and understand through daily observation, especially when hunting. They are very in tune with their owners. I once saw a rat hunting dog whose owner didn't even need to give commands. Just by acting, the dog would know what to do to cooperate with the owner. Sometimes, the dog would look at the owner's facial expressions and eyes to know what the owner wanted it to do. In communication, being observant and understanding the other person is very important. Sometimes we are very distressed because no one in life understands us. It's wonderful if we find someone who understands what we want, even in the small things in life, and empathizes with us. So why don't we give the people we communicate with the feeling that we understand and empathize with them? But the unfortunate thing is that sometimes we observe and empathize incorrectly and misunderstand the other person, even though we really want to understand them. This is the source of many human tragedies and causes a lot of suffering for many people. Therefore, the skill of observation and understanding is very important, and you should practice this skill with those around you. Almost all dogs know how to show affection to their owners. In the psychological mechanism of humans, there are two parts, emotion and reason, but the emotional part always dominates in short periods. Many Asians have a habit of hiding their emotions. I have also heard heartbreaking stories from this habit of Asians. There was a young man who loved a girl in his class very much, but he did not know how to express his feeling. For 4 years in university, their relationship went nowhere. When the girl graduated and got married, then divorced, she met her old boyfriend again. While talking, the young man learned that the girl also loved him very much during their university days, but due to habit, she could not express her true feelings. She also thought he did not love her because she never saw him express his feelings. This is a sad love story, and you will see many similar stories in Asian literature or movies. Sometimes, we see the opposite. Someone we just met appears too friendly and overly enthusiastic towards us. In the short term, this may seem to improve the communication atmosphere too well, but in the long term, the effect is not as desired. Simply put, we understand that the person behaves this way out of habit, and sometimes their emotions do not genuinely reflect such affection for us. So, the best way is to know how to express our true friendly and joyful emotions towards the person we are communicating with. But there is something to note. We should express our good, friendly feelings as they are, and not hide them. However, we should not show our negative emotions or thoughts about the other person, at least during the first meeting. And how to love someone from the first meeting. This is not a simple issue in Western culture. But if you understand Eastern philosophies, this issue can be resolved. In Eastern philosophy, the people we meet in life all have a destiny with us. Why, out of 7 billion people on Earth, do we not meet them, but meet this person? It is fate that arranged for them to meet us, and the meeting of two people is a miracle of God. People who come to meet us always help us learn some profound lesson from life. In other words, they are sent by God to meet us so that we can understand things we have not yet understood about life. Even if these things can be pleasant or very unpleasant, they all give us lessons that help us perceive life better and evolve. Thus, there is no reason for us not to cherish the people we meet in this life. Moreover, each person is a book we have never read, a story we have never heard, a personality we have never experienced. So why not enjoy and experience these new things? If we look more broadly, they and we are all human beings, sharing many similarities and all fragile in this vast and immense universe. You see, just by looking differently, we will see that we have very worthy reasons to cherish the people we meet. You can see that from friendly dogs, we can learn many profound lessons. Everything starts from our thoughts and spirit. Feel it, and change your thoughts towards more positive energy, and these new thoughts will naturally lead to new, suitable actions. Trust me, if you know how to love those around you and express these feelings, even if your relationships go through many challenges, in the long run, they will be beautiful and bring you happiness. However, this also requires patience and perseverance on your part. Once again, I wish you a delightful experience with this podcast episode. I hope we can find some common ground through these stories. I truly believe that the most important thing in human communication is sincerity. If we are sincere, our social relationships will continually improve. Thank you, and I wish you much luck and happiness in life.